many of the scenes from the movie, E.T., come from my own experience being with children. For instance, Harrison's son Willard was very involved with Dungeons and Dragons at the time I was writing. So the boys in E.T. are playing Dungeons and Dragons. It was a nice metaphor for what was coming within the movie. But I would ask the Willard and Benjamin, Harrison's sons, and their friends and other people, what they would like from an alien, what they would like his powers to be. A lot of the children would mention the obvious of telepathy or telekinetic powers, but I was struck by the fact that several of them mentioned that they would like, if this magic creature came into their life, they would like him to be able to heal. And I thought it was such an incredibly poignant idea to come from a child. And they weren't talking about save someone's life by healing. They were talking about take the owies away. And I thought it was just so simple and such a personal idea coming from a child. And, of course, E.T. heals.
Ouch! It was poison. Ouch! I drank it to save my life. Ting, dear Ting,
Ouch.
And I was very interested also in that E.T. would communicate often psychically, could be able to reach out to Elliot in school and give him ideas while he was sitting in class. And if E.T. got drunk, Elliot got drunk.
As we get started with the dissection, remember that the things that you are writing down.
And Elliot would start becoming and feeling E.T., a feeling that E.T.'s psychic spirit was inside of him. And that was really interesting. And those were ideas. I didn't know where it was going to go. Melissa didn't know where it was going to fall into the structure of the movie. But these were just like the wish list of, can we put this in the movie? Can we put that in the movie?
I think Steven Spielberg and I decided very early on that we didn't want to have any adults, mucking up the works, basically. And if it was important for a couple of reasons. First of all, E.T., being this little creature that he was, only lived with people of his own size, basically. That the world that he saw, the Earth that he saw, was small. It was filled with little people. So when he went back to his planet, he would basically be reporting on a planet that was populated by children, which we thought was kind of a poetic idea. And secondly, for Elliot, Elliot had to have the power in the movie. If for a moment an adult took the power away before it became a matter of life and death, then Elliot would have lost all of his magic.
I never wanted to show grown-ups in the movie until the very end. I wanted to suggest them, show them from the waist down, kind of like a Tom and Jerry cartoon, where the mom of the house comes in, you only see her from the waist down. Later we did that kind of even better with Roger Rabbit, when Bob did that same technique with Roger. But that's almost a requirement of cartoon. The whole cartoon world, when you have animals as cartoon characters, adults are not often shown. I like those old Tex Avery cartoons where you only see people from the waist down. And I was also raised on cartoons. I was raised with television, raised with cartoons, and it just made sense to me to create a world. I didn't want that world contaminated with anything beyond at most a 14-and-a-half-year-old's point of view.
Some of the things that you should be looking for during the dissection is to locate the heart and notice that it is still beating.
And as I remember it, I would write for 4 days, 5 days in my little office in Hollywood, and then I would drive out to Marina del Rey, where Steven Spielberg was editing in a little apartment on the beach. And I'd bring in my pages, and we'd sit and we'd go through the pages and say what worked, what didn't work, where we'd go from there, talk about the next hunk that should be written. Then I'd go back to my little office and do my writing and come back again a few days later to meet him. And it took 8 weeks for us to get the first draft, which was quite fast, I think.
And she delivered this 107-page first draft to me, and I read it in about, I'm a slow reader, but I think I read that in about an hour. And I was just knocked out. It was a script that I was willing to shoot tomorrow. I didn't really want to do a lot with it. It was honest, and it was right from both of our hearts. But Melissa's voice made a direct connection with my heart.
I was having lunch with Willie Hunt, who was an executive at MGM at the time. In fact, we were discussing Poltergeist because we were making Poltergeist at the same time. And Steven came running into the commissary with the screenplay, and he said, "I've just read Melissa's first draft, and we could shoot this tomorrow. It's the best first draft I've ever read." And I think in many respects, Steven would say that that's true even today.
I was going to do E.T. for Columbia, and I think they liked the script. They didn't dislike it. And there's a number of rumors I heard, and I don't want to report a rumor because I don't have any facts to base this, but by hook or by crook, Columbia chose another movie they had in development called Starman that eventually became a wonderful movie starring Jeff Bridges. And they chose that over E.T., and they said, "But look, we're not going to make your movie, but we'll certainly give it back to you to take anywhere you'd like." And I got the rights back and took it immediately to Sid Sheinberg, my mentor, my friend, and the head of Universal Studios. And I showed him the script, and I even at that point had we had I believe E.T. in clay. We had the head in clay, and we had some visual concepts that I had done with Ed Verreau on paper. And I remember sending Sid the script and a picture of a clay bust of E.T. and some drawings that Ed Verreau had done to decide whether he wanted to make the movie or not. And the next day he called up and he said, "I think it's a very good idea for a movie. Go ahead and do it." So we set off to make the picture at that time. Well, when I was about to produce Night Skies from the John Sayles script, I hired Rick Baker. Undoubtedly, the best creature, designer, at that time ever. And to this day, Rick Baker and I continue to work together and do films together. He's just a genius. He designed some really incredible aliens, but I kind of didn't want 7 incredible aliens. I wanted one special character. And I remember when I went to Rick and I said, "I'm changing this whole thing. We're not making this movie anymore. Instead of making another movie about one creature who comes down and befriends one small boy," Rick had done so much hard work on these multiple creatures that I think Rick was just sort of let down because his whole creature shop was devoted to a larger palette, and I was now restricting him to just one character. And Rick was disappointed that we weren't going the whole route, and I think Rick and I decided together that this wasn't perhaps a film that we should do together because this was not what Rick expected to do. He was hoping to do something much different. And Rick said, "You want to make a kids movie?" And I said, "That's right." I said, "Actually, I think E.T.'s not going to make a lot of money. I think I'm making a movie that is only going to appeal to kids." And I agreed that Night Skies was much more of a broader audience picture, certainly a scarier movie. We'll get more teenagers in. And I said, "Yeah, I'm probably making a big mistake. I'm going to make an old-fashioned Walt Disney movie about an alien and a kid, and that's going to be all it's going to be." And so I think we had an understanding. We separated, and I went off to try to find a designer for my single creature. And I first went to Stan Winston, who did a kind of really interesting design. I had one concept for E.T. that was pretty consistent with all the designers, and that is I didn't want anybody to think that E.T. was anything other than an actual extraterrestrial. Therefore, it couldn't look like there was somebody in a suit. And I wanted him to be only 3 feet tall. So I said, I need him to have such a small neck, and I want the neck to telescope like a turtle coming out of a shell. And so Stan Winston did me a very interesting creature, just like that the face was out here, the neck was back here. It was really a curious creature.